Um, I just want to talk about a video that, or a user actually, that I really like on YouTube, one of my favorites, Nicotine 2. And he made a video about a month or two back, I think, called The Real Me. And it's probably definitely one of my favorite videos on YouTube, because I relate so much to it. And I've dealt with such similar things in my life. And I just thought I'd turn the camera on and why not tell you about them? So, I'll just start off with the shit, I guess, that went down. In 7th grade, when I was 12 years old, 13 years old, um, I started to have really bad anger problems and suicidal thoughts, um, just things like that, like depression, serious depression, and anxiety. And like with the anger problems, I would just yell at my parents. Me and my parents would get in fights about really nothing big. I mean, they would ask me if I was doing my homework because I wasn't doing it well in school at that time, just because of what I was going through, and I would just flip out. I mean, I would go crazy, and I would be screaming at the top of my lungs, punching holes in my walls, kicking the door off the hinges. I mean, I would just go insane, and I knew, and my parents knew, that something was fucked because I was just my reaction to a simple question was just not normal. So, um, I was against my will taken to a psychiatrist and evaluated, I guess you could say. It was kind of a shitty experience for a first psychiatrist visit because I was just handed a huge packet of paper. I mean, huge, and I had to fill out all these questions about have you thought about suicide, blah 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 blah. Yes, 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 yes. And basically, he came in, and within the first day, I think, with my parents, he diagnosed me with major depressive disorder and possible bipolar disorder instead of the regular depression, because I would have some periods of elation and happiness and weird aspirations, but they weren't. Um, but yeah, so I went through. I really didn't do much after that. I mean, after I denied the fact that I had any of those things, just because at that age you really don't want to be singled out, and much less be told you have some kind of mental handicap, mental illness. At that age, it's not something you want to accept. So I just kind of put it aside, and my parents, because I couldn't take medication at that point in my life. I was only 13, and I wouldn't have if I could. But my parents kind of tried to get me to see other people, but I just didn't want to. I just wasn't interested, and I just started to form my own persona, I guess. And entering high school, I just acted like the person that I knew people wanted me to act like. I acted like the Mike that I thought people would want to know. And I just acted like the funny guy. I mean, I was the crazy guy. I was on the track team and cross country teams, and I was the captain. I was just kind of the goofy kid, like really wild. I would be cracking the sexual jokes all the time, and I don't know. I was just likable guy in high school, just funny, and I tried to be as outgoing as possible. But when I went home, I mean, I was such a different person, and I would just be depressed and like really depressed. I would never go out with friends after school. My friends would have to drag me out if I were to go somewhere. So I just constructed this persona basically that I used all throughout high school, and that's the me that people got to know, and the me people knew. They didn't know that when I went home, I would lay in bed and cry in high school and just hope I would die, or if if it wouldn't affect my parents or family, I would just kill myself. I would have killed myself. I was extremely suicidal. I didn't really tell people that because I was embarrassed of it, but that was the reality of it. And so the summer after graduating high school, which is this past summer, I went through some relationship bullshit, which really took me to a new low. I just couldn't handle it. I couldn't cope with it. I mean, it's usually something that people people have problems with getting over it, but I just could not get over it. And I was extremely depressed. My suicidality, I don't know if that's a fucking word, but it is now, reached a new level. And I didn't know what to do. I was just so bad. I mean, my friends would have to come over every day and just basically take care of me. My parents did the best they could to help me, but I was seeing psychiatrists then just to talk to, but I rejected medication because I just didn't want to have to rely on a pill to make me happy. But so I entered University of New Hampshire, and the first semester was by far the worst period of my life because the new people, I couldn't meet new people. I didn't want to go out, along with the depression. I mean, it was just horrible. And in late December and early January, my depression went from regular depression into what's called psychotic depression, which is where you begin hallucinating, basically. And I would usually get 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night, and when I was laying in bed, just trying to sleep, I would hear laughing. I just assumed they were laughing at me, and I just freaked the fuck out, basically. Like, I'm hearing voices in my fucking head. I felt like a fucking schizo. I felt like I was nuts. I mean, you can imagine if you started hearing voices, you'd go crazy. And that's what I was. I realized at that point, I had been seeing someone at the university for a few weeks, talking to them, and I just went in the next day, or after it happened about 4 or 5 times. It went through like cycles of happening, and I just went in and said, I need something. I need medication. I didn't fucking care anymore. I didn't care about the side effects. I just needed something, or I was going to kill myself. And so I was put on this thing called Pristiq, which is the new SNRI, and I ended up having a extremely bad reaction to it. I was homicidal, suicidal, even more so than I was before. I was actually sitting in biology class about an hour after taking it, which is a lecture, in a lecture hall. And this was the first dose. It took 50 milligrams, and I started to feel extremely anxious. I couldn't stop bouncing my legs. The people behind me I felt like everybody was looking at me because I was sitting in the front. There's about 100 people behind me. I felt like everybody was staring at me. And I just packed my shit and left because I just went straight to the health services place and told them. They had me there like all day. So long story short, they switched me to Zoloft, which is what I'm on now. Right here. And I took that, and within a month, it's been a month and a half now, I can honestly say I am happier than I've ever been since I was a little kid. Since I can remember. Since I was probably 12. It started when I was 12 years old, and I have never been this happy since then. And it's just it's like a huge relief. I mean, even if I have to rely on taking a blue pill every morning, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm happy now. And it's just, I mean, it's kind of a cheesy ending to say this, but I mean, it's true. I'm not going to fucking bullshit you. But I was shuffling through my iTunes about a month ago, about 2 weeks after starting the medication, really starting to feel better. And The Real Me by The Who came on. And after not really, I mean, it probably came on before, and I hadn't really paid much attention to it. But this time it really hit me that how much I had changed in such a short period of time. And I was really a new person, and I was really the real me now. I was confident that people could see the real me. And so that's basically my whole story of mental bullshit, what I've been through. It was hell, basically, but I'm just really happy that I've finally found something to make me feel better, even if it's a drug. I don't care. Psychedelic scenery. Oh, I forgot to add. Anybody who disses antidepressant drugs when they've never taken them, fuck you. Peace.